So here they come, the athletes being introduced to the crowd as they make their way through the smoke into the stadium. The pentathlon women's competitors entering the arena here in the Portland Convention Center. And they're led out by Alina Fyodorova of Ukraine, bronze medalist 2 years ago in Sopot. And next we have Georgia Ellenwood for Canada. She competed in the NCAAs just a week ago. She was fourth in that competition. Selina Leffler represents Germany, a great tradition in multi-events. Promising youngster, world youth champion in Donetsk in 2013. Next, again, one of the most promising young athletes in the world, Morgan Lake, who won both the multi-event and the high jump in the World Juniors just 2 years ago, or less than 2 years ago. She's followed out by Georgi Zivotsky-Farkas, who was sixth in the World Championships, heptathlon last year. She represents Hungary. And there'll be a big crowd, no doubt, with home support for the next athlete, who's Barbara Nwaba, the American champion at the pentathlon this indoor season. Well, those are the half the field in the women's pentathlon. The rest will be introduced as they come out for the second heat. And as I said, these are athletes who are the slower ones, not much to choose between them. In fact, on personal best, they go between 8:40 and 8:63, so very close. And there's the lineup: Fyodorova, Ellenwood, Leffler, Lake, Zivotsky-Farkas and Nwaba.
It will be a close one, I think, Peter. You're right. On personal best, very close in terms of time, and on season's best, well, about 0.15 of a second separating the whole field. And you can't describe how important the first event is in multi-events, can you? Whether it's a heptathlon, pentathlon, or decathlon and heptathlon for the men and the women. Nailing a first event, getting good points on the board to set yourself up psychologically as much as anything.
A reminder, of course, it's all about a question of how many points you get on the international tables rather than your position in the races. And 8:56, the personal best for the Canadian Ellenwood that we're just looking at there. And there's Celine Leffler, and you can see her personal best, 8:47, but an up-and-coming athlete who no doubt hoped to improve upon that. Gold medal, as I mentioned before, in Donetsk at the World Youths. And Morgan Lake, this is possibly her weakest event of the pentathlon. So on personal best, she is the slowest of the field, but a super opportunity for her to perhaps break that, get some really good points behind. But she's got very strong events, particularly the high jump, to come when she's one of the world's best at that event. Zivotsky-Farkas, a Hungarian who's very consistent across the whole range of events, rather than being outstanding in any individual one. And the American Barbara Nwaba. And she's run 8:40, which makes her the fastest in this field on personal bests. And they'll all be hoping on this super fast track here, ideal conditions both in terms of the atmosphere, the track, and of course the whole ambiance of competing in a major championship.
Well, we know the track's fast and the athletes like it. It looks good. So the 60 meters, followed by the long jump, shot put, high jump, meter hurdles, pole vault, and 1,000 for the gentlemen. Starting shortly. Meter hurdles first up then in the women's pentathlon.
So from the far side, lanes 2 to 7 being used here. It's Fyodorova, Ellenwood, Leffler, Lake, Zivotsky-Farkas, and Nwaba. First event, day 2, World Indoor Championships here in Portland. Well, away they go, and a good start by Nwaba nearest the camera, and also on the far side, Fyodorova coming through, and then Leffler in the center. It's Fyodorova from Nwaba and Leffler, and a good time, 8:27. That's a big improvement on a personal best, and I think the others were close enough behind that we might have various personal bests in that field. We'll get the times, no doubt, to him, but that is a super start for the bronze medalist from 2 years ago, Fyodorova of Ukraine.
Well, it was a good run, wasn't it? She got out the blocks well, leading at the first hurdle. Confirmed as a lifetime best, 1,068 points for the Ukrainian. So a very good start indeed, focused, and the points are in the bag. You can't ask for a better start than that in a multi-events with a personal best and big points.
Yeah, and a big improvement from 8:48 down to the confirmed time of 8:27 there. Just waiting for the rest of the times to come through and therefore the points. And in fact, it was, well, as I called it, it was Nwaba who was second. 1,032 points for her 8.43, not far outside her best. And then Leffler, 8:49 coming through for her, again just outside her best. Again over 1,000 points, 1,019 in her case. Ivotsky Farkas making it 4 women over 1,000 points for that first event, 1,004 for her 8:56. So a decent start for the US champion there, Barbara Nwaba. Well beaten by Fyodorova by, well, a metre and a half or so, but still, she's got the points that she would have looked for. Ellen Wood of Canada, 8:64. Well, they're all just a little outside their best, apart from the winner, but we're now going to introduce to you the athletes in the second race of the pentathlon 60-metre hurdles. And these generally the athletes who've got the fastest personal best, in their case from 8:09 up to 8:37. So they're seeded according to their performances previously in the hurdles. So Makiba Al-Sidi comes out first. She's representing St. Lucia. She's in fact at the University of Arkansas in the States, national record holder. And now Kendall Williams, an outstanding youngster and quickest in this field at 8:09, and she was in fact the world junior champion at this event, the 100-metre hurdles, and she's in fine form, as she's shown when winning the NCAA title last weekend. Now a huge roar for the University of Oregon's Brian Tyson-Eaton, representing Canada, and the wife, of course, of Ashton. Dalcia Slack, Commonwealth Games finalist for Jamaica. 8:37, her personal best. Then Anastasia Mokhnyuk, who was 7th in the World Championships in Beijing in the heptathlon, goes for the Ukraine. She probably knows that her compatriot Fyodorova has got off to a super start. Finally, the World Youth Champion of 2007, Katerina Kachova of the Czech Republic. And again, a quality hurdler, the best of 8:13, one of the best in the Czech Republic at that discipline. So fastens the field, just Kendall Williams, who's second in that lineup. Al-Sidi, Williams, Tyson-Eaton, Slack, Mokhnyuk, and Kachova. Just completing the results, incidentally, of the first race. Morgan Lake was 6th at 8:70. That's the one time I haven't given you before. Just a little bit away from the start of this race. Once they've been introduced to the crowd, they're given another couple of minutes just to warm up and get prepared for each race. And again, we'll have this pattern of introducing the athletes before the finals, I think semi-finals as well, of each event. And of course, this is a final, the first of the 5 events of the heptathlon. There's Kendall Williams, brilliant youngster, 21 years of age. And as I said, great pedigree at this particular event. Here, title. Tyson-Eaton, well, she's good across all disciplines, but again, this is a pretty good one for her, and she's the second quickest in the lineup with that personal best of 8:10. Second in the World Championships on the last 2 occasions outdoors at heptathlon. Dalcia Slack, another American-educated athlete in this lineup. Mokhnyuk, the Ukrainian, has got a personal best of 4:745 for the pentathlon, just behind Brian Tyson-Eaton, who's 4:768, makes her the highest scorer of the athletes in this lineup. Kendall Williams also last weekend was just over 4,700 points. Jan Tyson-Eaton running here in lane 4. She was the silver medalist 2 years ago in Sopot. That occasion, Nadine Breusen took the gold medal. She's not competing this indoor season, but she'll be a major contender when it comes to Rio and the 7th event discipline, the heptathlon, which of course they contest outdoors. So they take to their marks then. From lane 2, we've got Makeba, Alcede, Kendall Williams, Brianne Tyson-Eaton, Salsia Slack, Anastasia Mokniuk, Katarina Kacheva. Oh, Kendall Williams left a little bit there as Tyson-Eaton really has gone away with Mokniuk as well. It's Tyson-Eaton and Mokniuk and then Kendall Williams, who lost a lot by being very slowly away at the start. And the time, 8:05. It's quick, it's a personal best. What a super start for the favourite for the pentathlon, Brianne Tyson-Eaton.
Well, let's look at the replay here. Tyson-Eaton in lane 4, out like an absolute rocket, flying to the first hurdle and carried the momentum through wonderfully well. Kendall Williams getting left, as you mentioned, Peter, was fighting back, but the Canadian, coached by Harry Mara, as is her husband Ashton Eaton, he's going to have a busy day with his 2 athletes, but he'll be pleased with that. A lifetime best performance.
And it's confirmed at 8:04, so 100th quicker on the first finish, 1,120 points. Mokniuk then a big personal best, well, by 200s, 8:11. She gets 1,104. And Kendall Williams, well, she's on a bit of ground in what she would have liked. 8:31 for her, just ahead of Kacheva. Well, you've got to get everything right in a multi-eventer, and it's not a disaster for Williams, but she's lost, well, something like perhaps 70 points or so on what she would have looked for.
Well, it was a super start, wasn't it? They'll move on to the high jump, shot put and long jump, and 800 meters later.
There's the result of the first race in the pentathlon. Elena Fyodorova, 8:27. Marber and Leffler, Divosky Farkas, Ellen Wooden Lake. Personal best for the Ukrainian and close to their best for the rest of the field. Brianne Tyson-Eaton just being interviewed in the infield. Result of the second race of the pentathlon, Brianne Tyson-Eaton, 8:04, 1,120 points, a perfect start for the Canadian favourite. Then Mokniuk, another big personal best of 8:11, and Williams third at 8:31. So that concludes the first event in the pentathlon.
The next event is the high jump. And so far, so good for their household in terms of their World Indoor Championship ambitions.
Yes, Tyson-Eaton, who's got a best in the high jump of 189. She'll probably pass the opening heights, I would guess. I mean, the heptathletes like to come in fairly soon, but we're starting here with a look at Makeba Alcede. She's a very good jumper, as you can see, at 189. And here she goes, and that opening height is of no problem, as one would expect. But absolutely vital in the multi-events to even get any height in, because it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, she's got plenty to spare there, but it's good to start safe, because then you make sure you get at least 500, 600, 700 points. If you get a no height, you've lost any chance. And even if you have a disappointing competition, if you at least get a height in, you're still in there with a fighting chance. So Kacheva, who ran very well in the hurdles, she going to this opening height of 1.64 meters. Shouldn't really be too much of a problem for any of these women at this height. The heptathletes usually jump at, as I said before, really quite a lot of heights. They've still got to, of course, make sure that they are not too tired by the time it comes up to the really top ones. Salsia Slack, the one athlete who's got a personal best some way below the rest. The Jamaicans did on 169. And then the next lowest is 177. All the rest are 180 plus jumpers, headed by Morgan Lake, the young British athlete, still a junior, who's got a best of 194, which he's done both this year and the year last year and the year before that. Fyodorova leads the competition from that PB, or she did lead it after the first race in the hurdles. Second race, of course, was quicker, but the big personal best for the Ukrainian. Bronze medalist 2 years ago. And Fyodorova, an athlete who's in fact the second best on a personal best with a 190 outdoors, one of two 190 plus jumpers in this lineup. So for her to do 164, fairly straightforward. Catherine, who used to be a high jumper once upon a time.
I used to be lots of things once upon a time. Young and agile is the main thing.
Salsia Slack next to go. Now she's the one who might have trouble at these heights. Well, yeah.
Well, you did say it, didn't you, Peter? Multi-eventers always have a little bit of a weakness in one area. Obviously the best in the world try and perform consistently, but the technique was all wrong there for Slack.
I think we've just got one jumper left at this height. Yes, there she is, Selena Leffler. All the rest passing. And just looking at the card, Morgan Lake is passing the first 5 heights, not coming into 179. So that's the top competitor. Oh, Leffler having a bit of a problem there too. Shouldn't be so much difficulty for her. 177 her outdoor best, although indoors this year she's done 169. So we've had clearances from Alcida, Kacheva and Fyodorova, and one failure then for each of Slack and Leffler. So let's see if Slack can get it together then for this second attempt at this opening height. Absolutely vital that she gets performance in if she's going to get a score. Well, better is all one can say.
How does it work, Peter? If her indoor personal best is 169 and they're starting at 164, do the athletes choose the height that it starts at, or are they dictated to by the officials of where they can start?
I think they're dictated to. They decide on what the standard should be at the championships. If she'd come in with a personal best lower than that, whether they'd have had a special thought about it. I mean, 164 to 169, that's not too much gap compared to some, but nonetheless it gives her a reasonable chance of getting a jump in, they would have thought. But you said you've got to be fair, haven't you, to all the rest of the competitors? If you come in at a 2 at lower height, then you're waiting, they're all waiting around for much longer. Oh, there's a problem for the German athlete too. Leffler, on the World Youth Champion. So tough in the multi-events, isn't it? You've got to be so concentrated, you've got to get it right or reasonably right in everything. And Leffler's now in that position. Now here's Leffler. Now we saw her having trouble at 164. She got over that. 167 and now 170 on her third attempt. Oh yes. So showing some good competitive fire here is the young German, because it could have been so close to disaster, that 164 opener, but now she's over 170. A personal best of 177, so there could be more to come. And she's coming through on the third time at 2 of the heights now. Remember that the top high jumper, Morgan Lake, won't be seen in action until 179. We've yet to see Tyson Eaton, of course, as well. So still fairly early stages in the women's high jump. Now we go up to 173, which is 5'8". Here's Nwaba, the American pentathlon champion. High jump is at 173, no trouble. Nwaba going clear. And at this height of 173, Nwaba makes it 4 who've gone clear. 2 athletes still to enter the competition, Morgan Lake and Brianne Tyson-Eaton. That's the card for Nwaba. This is Farkas of Hungary. Ooh, disappointment for her. She's a very consistent athlete across the range of events, and a high jump best of 186. So she'll expect to clear this height, but not so on the first attempt. So we've had Kacheva, Williams, Fyodorova, Nwaba and Moknyuk going clear. This is Kendall Williams now. Yep, the American champion goes clear. And we're due to have at this height Tyson Eaton making her debut in the competition. Kacheva has also gone clear, so too Alcide. So the best high jumpers coming into their own right now. We have lost Leffler, who we saw before. She went out with 3 failures at 173. And that's the card for Williams. The failure on her first jump, but otherwise all going well. And this is Fyodorova, who's a 190 jumper. So she's the second best on personal bests in this lineup. And again, with a clean card up to this height. Fyodorova, bronze medalist 2 years ago. No problem. And all these women who are left in the competition have done well over 180 before now. Let's have a look at Barbara Nwaba now in the high jump. Her first attempt at this height of 176, being popped over by most of the athletes at this stage. And Nwaba joins them. Very nice, clean high jumping by the American. No failures for her throughout, as indeed was also the case with Kacheva and Fyodorova, who've gone over already. We've got Ellen Wood of Canada up next, and Moknyuk. And we'll soon have Tyson Eaton. So switching from one multi to another, he is back to Životsky Farkas, the Hungarian. 176, her first attempt. And she joins those clear. I have to say that it's still fairly early in this competition. They've been jumping for a while. They like to come in fairly conservatively in terms of what their bests are. But we've now had 6 women over 176. Životsky Farkas the latest to go clear. And next up will be Tyson Eaton making her debut into the high jump. There she is already, an athlete with a best of 189, 184 this indoor season. So the favourite. Brilliant start with the hurdles. Here she goes in her opening high jump. Well, just tickles that bar a little bit, but job done in terms of making sure she gets good points on the board. She'll be looking for success at some further heights, unquestionably. That completes the first set of jumps at this height. We've still got Morgan Lake passing, and we had Moknyuk with 1 failure. And the high jump, our second jumper here, well, another failure, so this may be a height that's beginning to sort them out. This is Kacheva, the young Czech who excelled in the 100-meter hurdles. Kacheva with a personal best outdoors last year of 185.
7.45, so does improve.
Now we'll shortly be seeing Morgan Lake making her debut in the high jump competition. First of all, we've got the US champion, Kendall Williams. Now she's got a best of 188. Again, a fine hurdler, but had a disappointing race there and wanted to make up for it a little bit with the high jump. Going fine so far. Yeah, she got a slow start in the hurdles, and that kept her time, well, perhaps a couple of tenths down on what she might have hoped for. Morgan Lake enters the high jump at 179, an athlete with a 194 best. Good start. She waited quite a long time, later than anybody else, before she came in, but this is her event. She's competed individually. She was the World Junior Champion at 194. She's still a junior, prodigious talent, World Junior Champion at both high jump and at heptathlon, and making steady progress here, and a good start for Morgan. Now Barbara Nwaba, the American. Incidentally, Fyodorova has also gone over this height. So we've seen Williams, Fyodorova and Lake clear on their first attempts. Now Barbara Nwaba.
White flag up for Hustle.
Yeah, good jump for her. She's the US champion. Now Morgan Lake, her attempt at 179 was no problem. How can she do at 182? And that's the definitive answer for an athlete who's done 194, the top high jumper in this field. She's in last place in the event after just the hurdles when she did 870 in 12th place, but this is a banker event for her. Now then, the high jump, we're back to 182 now in the high jump. This is the American champion, Barbara Nwaba. We've had Fyodorova and Lake clear on their first attempts. Oh, and Nwaba well clear on her second, to her great delight. Mokanyuk also went clear on her first attempt as well, so into second attempts. And it really is going up very nicely, this high jump. It's been in action for quite some while now, having started at 164, or some of them did. Nwaba started at 170. Here's Zhivotsky Farkas with her second attempt. And the Hungarian also gives a little yell, and job done for her. An athlete with a best of 184, so she's getting pretty close to that. And she's got a bit to spare there. After this, we'll go up to 185, which would be a personal best for her. She's over 2,000 points now in the first two events. Tyson Eaton, well, she failed on her first attempt, her first failure of the competition. She's been chatting with Ashton, now back to her. Taking the spotlight. Oh yes, well it wobbles, but it's still there. 184 her season's best, and she has done 189 outdoors at her best. So not at her best, but nonetheless that's okay, just. But just a reminder, she started with a superb 60-meter hurdles to get this event underway, and she retains her first place overall there with her points tally up to 2,123. Now it's Kendall Williams. Well, crucial jump for her. She's had two failures. Very nice indeed. The NCAA champion goes clear. She's done 187 this year. Got over 4,700 points in those NCAA championships just a week ago in Birmingham, Alabama. But already one of the selected athletes for this event, so she didn't have to take part in the US championships that were held in this stadium, because of course the multi-events had been held earlier. Now Morgan Lake. We're looking now that the bar has gone up to 185 after that third attempt by Kendall Williams. And at 185, well, we just saw Lake. In fact, she went over, and then we did see the little 0 or O showing that she'd cleared. So now we look at Nwaba. And Nwaba has a best of 188. 185 now. Oh, that was close. 6 foot and 3/4 of an inch. So let's catch up and have a look at Morgan Lake. Still with those tracksuit bottoms on. 185. Oh, beautiful, well clear. Well, remember, this is an athlete. She's still a junior, but she's cleared 194, both in 2014 when she won the world junior title at high jump, as well as the heptathlon title, and last year as well, British junior record. Going well so far. Points now up to 2,015. Now for Fyodorova, her first her go at 185. Oh yeah, well, she's reasonably happy about this. 190 jumper, but she seems almost a little surprised there. Good reaction from her. Fyodorova of Ukraine. Big personal best by 0.2 of a second in the hurdles to start the day. So the bronze medalist from Sopot going well. Now back to Zhivotsky Farkas of Hungary. Well, you can tell that she's fairly happy as well with that big scream. This is Rhian Tyson-Eaton again. Oh, and again, well, just like at the previous height, we've seen her have a little bit of trouble just tickling the bar. But it's still there. So 185 safely in, and that's good points for the Canadian. So Ashton leading the men's heptathlon, and Eaton leading the women's pentathlon. Kendall Williams now. Well, she cleared 182 on her third attempt. How can she go at 185? Oh, proving a tough competitor there. Very nice clearance, very clean clearance for the young American. World Junior champion at the hurdles, and she had a disappointing start in the 60 hurdles. She got off to a slow start, but here she goes, third attempt success at 185. So in this high jump competition, excellent, some very good jumpers here, and they're getting close to their bests now. Last attempt at 185 for Moknyuk. Nothing better than clearing at the last attempt when you've almost given up. Well, she hadn't given up, and she is delighted. 185 for the Ukrainian.
And here's Moknyuk for her second attempt.
Well, in the high jump, we're now up to 1.88 m in this competition, with 6 women still left in. And this is the situation live. We can catch up on one or two of the others. Farkas just had a second failure. And Tyson Eaton now taking her second attempt. All the athletes, all 6 of them rather, failed their first attempts at 188. So here we go on the second attempt. This is Tyson Eaton leading the competition after, well, halfway through, or nearly the end through of the second attempt of the 5 in the pentathlon. 188. Oh no, she's going well though. 185 is a pretty good clearance. She should be reasonably happy with that after her hurdles best. Third attempt, 188. Tyson Eaton in the high jump. Plenty of clapping around the arena, but no. So, little disappointment of course, but she's done pretty well here. 185. Just one athlete has gone clear at this height of 188, and Tyson Eaton bows out. Now Morgan Lake, her second attempt at 188 for the young, she's still a junior, Morgan Lake of Great Britain. That's why she's a top high jumper. She'll move up considerably from 12th place in the pentathlon with this fine high jumping. Just tickles that bar again, but this is 188, the only athlete to succeed at this height, and that takes her to 2,054, and she moves up to 12th to 5th. Well, she's on her own now, Morgan Lake in the high jump, and she just wants to keep on adding the points, and she's now having the bar set at 191. She came in at 179, cleared that, 182, 185, first time. 188, she needed 2 goes, as you can see on the card, and here she goes, her first attempt. 1.91 m in the high jump. 2 attempts left. Morgan, who's coached by her father, who is himself a good triple jumper, Eldon Lake.
Well, it's not a situation she's unused to, is it, Peter, in terms of multi-events? In the World Juniors here a couple of years ago down the road in Eugene, in terms of being the only one left in when it comes to the high jump discipline. Such is her class in this event.
And she's outstanding talent. Her hurdles was a little disappointing. She hasn't really come on in that event, perhaps quite as much. She's got plenty of time as still a youngster. So we'll wait to see her with 2 attempts left at that in a moment or two. Now, Lake's had another failure at 191 while we were watching that 800. So here now is her last attempt at this height. Lake already clear at 188. She's up into 5th. Oh, no, sadly not. So a little disappointing. Nonetheless, she's been the best high jumper of these pentathletes by clearing 188 and gathering some points advantage, which taken her up from 12th to 5th. But it wasn't to be at 191. Not so complete card, came in at 179, so a bit disappointing because this is her banker event. And the shot not so good, long jump varies. And 800, not quite so good either. So she's very much dependent on getting good points in the high jump. And there it is. There's the result of the pentathlon high jump. Lake 188, then Fyodorova, Zhivotsky, Tyson-Eaton, Mokanyuk, Williams, all 185. Good standard, 1,041 points for each of them, with Lake having a 39-point advantage. Salsius-Lack sadly failed the opening height of 164, so no points for her. And this is Nwaba in the heptathlon shot put, which is just getting underway now. Oh, that's an excellent start too. A 15-meter put is just what you need in this event. So Nwaba will be looking to make up some ground in the standings in obviously one of her best events here, the American champion at the pentathlon this year, and she's got a shot best of 14.64, so that's been smashed into oblivion. 15 meters exactly. She can almost scarce believe it. Salsius-Lack, well, she's keeping going despite the fact that she had no height in the high jump, but looking obviously to get a decent shot put performance out there. And as you can see, well, she's over 13 meters, so this is one of her better events for the Jamaican. Fifth in the Commonwealth Games, the heptathlon. Salsius-Lack just getting over 13 meters here. Well, the best competitor is Fyodorova, who's going so well, of course, the Ukrainian. She's got a personal best of 15.97. She's the penultimate thrower in the competition. Kacheva, very much a sprinter, hurdler athlete, yet to develop much as a shot putter, and that's fairly modest. Tyson-Eaton and Williams, two of the major contenders, will follow her into the circle. Kacheva, a modest 11.13. So now we have the leader in the event, Brianne Tyson-Eaton. The Eaton family looking for a unique double. Tyson-Eaton, 13.99. She's got an outdoor best, not one of her best events, but that's pretty much up to scratch for her. Somewhere around, what, 13.50-ish. She's just under 14 meters at her best. Morgan Lake in the shot. Good event for her with a personal best of 14.85, and again she'll be hoping to make progress from her 5th place currently. Well, that's not all that good by her standards, but it's over 13 meters, just behind what we saw from Tyson, I think. The best we've had so far, in fact, is Mokanyuk of Ukraine at 14.35. And here, in fact, is Mokanyuk of Ukraine. This is just looking back on it to pick up that best shot. As you can see, there it is, 14.35. Well, I said best after Nwaba, who, of course, who opened the competition with 15 meters. So Nwaba 15 meters, then this 14-meter plus put by Mokanyuk. And then a whole series of women just over 13 meters. Lake's put, incidentally, was 13.18. And this throw by Mokanyuk, 14 meters 35. So we're still in the first round of the competition with probably the best shot putter, Fyodorova, yet to go. 12.54 there for the young Canadian, Ellen Wood. And now we have Zhivotsky Farkas from Hungary. Just 3 puts to go in the first of the 3 rounds of the women's pentathlon shot put. Lying 6th overall so far. Well, very much muscling that out to what, almost around 14 meters. So she doesn't appear to be too happy with that. Farkas married to the decathlete Attila Zhivotsky, who's a former world bronze medalist at the decathlon, and she starts with 13.88. He's in 5th now with that 2.831. Tyson-Eaton, second round of the shot put, having opened with 13.44. Very similar, very similar. Don't think that's any, well, it might be a bit of an improvement. We'll see. Consistent throwing. No major changes so far in this round. Slight improvement for Slack to 13.24. But we have had a good throw by Fyodorova, incidentally, just at the end of the first round. Tyson Eaton, no, it is an improvement. 13.60. As we move from Tyson Eaton to, the photographer has a problem there. There is a cage there, but he was a little worried. Victor Saylor, in fact. Anyway, Kendall Williams perhaps saw that and a little bit of a sympathetic smile. No throw for Williams in the end, just outside the sector line. Now, Moknyuk. We saw do 14.35, and she's in second place to Tyson Eaton overall in the pentathlon. She's having a good competition, obviously. Is that in? Yes, it is. But I say second place to Tyson Eaton. In fact, Fyodorova has gone past into the lead. And we now have Moknyuk in second and Tyson Eaton in third. Very close at the top, though, with 2 events to go after this shot put. And this was the best throw. We saw Nwaba do 15 meters, and this was a few centimeters before. This was the end of the first round. I said she'd had a big throw, and in fact this takes her into the overall lead, because this gets a lot more points, 804 to be precise, compared to 633 for Tyson Eaton, and a fine put by Fyodorova. Second round throw for Fyodorova, who's already seen to be the best in the shot. Oh, and this is yet further. Fine put by Fyodorova, whose personal best is only just under 16 meters, and she's stretching her lead here in this competition. Well, in this round, Morgan Lake improved to 13.61, Farkas to 14.54, and now Fyodorova to 15.44, the best we've seen. Takes her up to 2.999, and that's got a good lead. Tyson Eaton, who's made a little bit of progress. This is her final throw in the shot, looking for those few valuable more points, because she's about 70 points off the lead at the moment. Well, maybe. Consistent series of putting by Tyson Eaton. As I've said before, the shot not her best discipline by any means. But she can be reasonably happy with that. Got good events to come. Yes, another few points, 13.70, taking her up to 2.935. Here's the second placer in the heptathlon currently with her final put in the shot competition. This is Moknyuk. 2 women already over 15 meters. Oh, make that 3. She's just about to hit that line, perhaps just over it. We'll see in a moment. So Anastasia Moknyuk. Well, now, Fyodorova has 2.99 points, and Moknyuk's just behind, but a big improvement there. And it could be that we're going to have, well, we have a Ukrainian 1-2. And it could be that this woman has just moved ahead of her compatriot into the lead. Let's see. Yes, 15.01, so that takes her up to 3,007 points, and she is now the 3-event leader in the heptathlon. Sidi, no throw at the end, so she ends with the best of 13.46. And now we have Lake, started with 13.18, then 13.61. We'd just love to get close to her personal best, which is well beyond 14 meters. Outdoor 14.85 is Lake's best. Top high jumper in this competition. Morgan Lake's third and final go in the shot. Low trajectory, disappointing throw. I'm afraid she didn't quite get that right, only just over 13 meters. So a bit disappointing, I'm afraid, for the youngster. Still a junior, of course, so she'll be looking for another success at junior championships. But 13.61, it's okay, but it's no more than that.
During that last race, we saw a very happy Anastasia Moknyuk from Ukraine.
Well, we're just completing the competition now, the last action of this first session here on day 2 of the IF World Indoor Championships. This is Ellen Wood, the Canadian. 12:54, 12:30 before that put. We've got 3 more throws to go before we complete this morning session. Fyodorova, can she regain the lead in the shot? No, I think that's not quite enough, but she's had a magnificent competition. 3 puts over 15 meters. This is the last put of the women's heptathlon shot competition. It's Celine Leffler, the former world youth champion, who's lying 11th overall. 12:74 so far. Oh, and that's better. That's over 13 meters, I do believe. So a decent finish there to the competition for Leffler. Leffler, though, had a personal best of 14:35, so although she's improved to 13:17, a little bit down on what she would have looked for. So that concludes the heptathlon. We'll bring you the results of it in just a moment. But that concludes the first session here. We've got a break of just over a couple of hours before we're back again for 3.5 hours of fun this evening. And this is the first jumper, the very talented, very promising young American, Kendall Williams, who achieved a personal best to win the NCAA title at 4,703 points just last weekend in Birmingham, Alabama. Here she goes with the first jump of the women's long jump. I think that's just about spot on the board. No, just a little over. No jump. That's a great shame because that was a very fine jump by Kendall Williams. She started with a disappointment in the hurdles when she had a very bad start and ran 8:31 compared to her best 8:09, but she's been going well since then. But just over there in the long jump, yeah, you see how close it was. We can see now on the replay. We now look at one of the athletes who are going really well, the bronze medalist from 2 years ago, and Fyodorova in strong contention for a medal here. Might lose a little ground in the long jump, though. Personal best is 6:35. Well, it's a fair start, but I think she might well expect Mokanyuk and Tyson Eaton to go farther further than that. For Tyson Eaton in particular to narrow the gap to the Ukrainians. Oh, that's pretty fair, isn't it? Just 10 centimeters off. And it's pretty close to her best, 6:33, season's best. Morgan Lake now, who's decent long jumper, 6:32, but she's very inconsistent at this event. She has in some major competitions, like the World Youths, had a catastrophe in the long jump. Let's hope she can hit it together this time. That's not bad, just around the 6-meter area. She's young, she's still a junior, and so obviously she'll have some work to do on the work, particularly in the technical disciplines. She's a fine high jumper, of course, and indeed topped the high jumpers in the morning session when she did 1.88 after an 8.70 hurdles, and here 6.03, so season's best for Morgan, but her potential is, Catherine, quite a lot more than that.
Well, it
we'll
is.
come back to that.
Yeah.
We'll look at Anastasia Mokanyuk now. She's a top long jumper, 6.62 meters. So Mokanyuk down the long jump runway. It's that board, and again over 6. Mokanyuk, the leader, 3,007 points, with Fyodorova on 2,999. Fyodorova has already done a decent long jump, which will, I think, have taken her into the lead, seeing what Mokanyuk's going to come up with. We'll get the distance, and we'll probably get the standings as well when we get that distance, and it's immediately checked against the scoring tables. Oh, it's a good one though, 6:37. No, it's better than Fyodorova, so Mokniuk will in fact have extended her lead. She's now up to 3:9.72. Leffler of Germany, a bit of a mixed day so far. 6:32 for the former world youth champion, that's her best. No, only just, well, I guess somewhere around the 560 area or so, depending on what angle we're getting on that distance scoreboard just behind that. But Germany have the great multi-event expertise and history, and Leffler getting some valuable experience in her first senior competition. Well, I was just about spot on, wasn't I? 5:64 there for her opener. Brianne Tyson-Eaton, her first jump in the long jump, concluding the first round. Good speed, behind the board, good jump though, just what she needs. We've already seen her two main rivals, Mokniuk going 6:37 and Fyodorova 6:33, and they're the top two in the competition. And Tyson-Eaton needs to narrow the gap so as not to leave herself too much to do in the final event. And she also has done 6:37, so no change vis-a-vis Mokniuk. Tyson-Eaton remaining in third place with 3:9.00, but that's quite a long way behind Mokniuk's 3:9.72. Kendall Williams next. Had a no jump, good jump, but no jump. It's not contradicting myself. She had a no jump by about, what, 1.5 centimeters on a jump which certainly went well over the 6 meters. So Kendall Williams now in the long jump. She has a best of 6.54 meters. See how close she can get to that. Oh, that's good, and that was safe. That was behind the board, or at least well behind the plasticine. No, not as far behind as I thought. That's pretty good. Only 5 centimeters to spare. And there it is. 6:30 takes her up to 3:8.00 in fifth place. Żywodzki Farkas is on the long jump. Now she's the fifth best so far of the long jumpers we've seen at 6.28 meters, getting very close to her personal best. And that's probably no further, my guess. No, it's a no jump anyway. Nwaba next to go. Started with 5.84. Well, whether that tape is just preventative or what, I'm not sure, but she's got a lot of it on her. Didn't notice, Catherine, well, see how she goes when she goes down the runway this time. Didn't notice anything particularly amiss first go. That's a little improvement, I think. But no jump. Red flag raised. She's slipped back a little bit, 3.697 points now, her tally. Fyodorova, second jump in the long jump. Powerful runner, and, well, at similar distance, perhaps. Or is it? No, it might even be rather better. The situation in the long jump is that Fyodorova had a 6.33, and Tyson and Mokniuk 6.37. These are the medalists. But this was excellent, and a fair bit to spare on the board. Oh, and it's a huge jump, in fact, by Mokniuk. 6.66. Well, that takes her well into the lead in the competition. She was leading already, and now a jump which is just under 22 foot has taken her into the lead. So the Ukrainian really excelling here and putting the pressure on her rivals. This is Morgan Lake now of Great Britain with her second jump. The young junior, probably no improvement, probably around 6 meters again. And she's getting a bit frustrated. She's been a bit frustrated with her efforts all through today. Tyson Eaton, long jump, second round. You've just seen that big jump by Moknyuk. That's a good performance by Tyson Eaton, but she's lost a lot of ground. She's a much better 800-meter runner than Moknyuk, but she may have to make up quite a big distance unless things can change in this long jump. This may be a little better, but it's certainly nowhere near that 6.66 that Moknyuk produced. So let's just get a check in a moment on what the distance is there for Tyson Eaton. 6.42, well, another 5 centimeters takes her up to 3.916, but Moknyuk is on 4.066. Kendall Williams, her second jump in the long jump, and again over 6 meters for the young American. Started with 6.30 though, so we'll see how that compares. It's not as far, I'm sure. Just get a check on the distance. Oh, well, that's one of the reasons why 29 centimeters. You really can't afford to lose that much. Yeah, and 6.10. Now, we're into the third and therefore final round of the jumps, 3 each, of course, you get in a multi-event. So we start with Żywodzki Farkas. So Kendall Williams has taken her score up to 3,800 points. Żywodzki Farkas just a little ahead of that at the moment. Well, looks a pretty decent jump as well, but the red flag raised. So Żywodzki Farkas will have to settle for her 6.28, which is pretty good by her standards, very close to her best, followed by 2 no jumps. Here's one of them, and that was quite a big no jump, I think. So she's up to 3.812 points. Oh, well, perhaps I was doing a bit of an injustice. It was pretty close. But she's on 3.812, just ahead of Williams' 3.800. Morgan Lake, standing on the long jump runway. Just over 6 meters so far. Her second jump, which we saw, was about 10 centimeters short, just over 10 centimeters short. So 6.03, and she's in 7th now, 3.681. Still a junior, will be a major contender for junior championship honours this year. And we come to the World Juniors later. Oh, that looks a better jump, except that she lost a bit of ground vis-a-vis the board. Well, certainly a more consistent display by Morgan. Actually, it's 5.95 than we've seen from her for a while in the long jump. But I would like to see her getting rather further. Catherine?
Well, indeed. The shaking of the head continues. Morgan finished the long jump shaking her head, so a few adjustments will be made.
Yep, well, she's finished now. So next
Going
time
forward onto the next event.
Yeah.
Mentally, if not physically.
Yeah. Moknyuk, and it's the 800. I'm not quite sure what you can do in terms of adjustments for that. Anyway, Moknyuk, brilliant jump in the previous round of 6.66, which is a lifetime best, indoors or out, and she's got a big lead now in the heptathlon. Another super jump. I don't think it's as far, so we'll come back to confirm that result very shortly. Meanwhile, a crucial jump for Tyson Eaton in the long jump. She's a long way behind Moknyuk. She's a pretty long way behind Fyodorova as well. She could make up ground in the 800, but she really needs some more points if she can get them here in the long jump. Going for it hard. Oh, it's a good jump, but it's, well, I said it's a long jump, but I think it's a no jump. Yes, the red flag has come up. She was really striving for every possible centimetre she could get. Decent competition, 6:42, but she's going to have a lot of work to do in the 800 meters. She's going to overtake the Ukrainian. She is, at best, about 5 seconds faster over 800. And before we come to that event, you can see now she's quite a clear no jump. I will do some calculations to see how much she's got to beat Mokonyuk by. Well, the pentathlon women now come to its conclusion. We've been watching them in action throughout the day. The fastest ever run in a pentathlon, 800 meters indoors, that time of 2:04 there. And there is the lineup. The situation is that almost certain now of the gold medal is Anastasia Mokonyuk of Ukraine. She's not as quick as, say, Brian Tyson-Eaton, but Tyson-Eaton would have to beat Mokonyuk by over 11 seconds. And, well, Tyson-Eaton is quicker. She's done a 2:09. And Mokonyuk's done a 2:15, 2:16, and Fyodorova also. Tyson-Eaton could overtake Fyodorova. 2.5 seconds she'd need to gain on her for that. Here they come then. Here is Brianne Tyson-Eaton. That's the favourite coming into this event. I think she's pretty sure of a medal, but I don't think it's going to be gold, because I think this young lady is going to take it and smash her personal best. Anastasia Mokonyuk of Ukraine. Of course, a good tradition in Ukraine with Dubrinska and Melnichenko. And then Katerina Kacheva of the Czech Republic comes out. Situation is that Mokonyuk leads with 4:066 from Fyodorova 3:952 and Tyson-Eaton 3:916. Nwaba is, however, the fastest of the 800 meters runners, off a personal best of 2:0717. There's Leffler, the young German. Good experience for her coming into her first senior championships. Alina Fyodorova took the bronze medal last time, may well get another bronze medal this time. She's like second, but Tyson-Eaton could well beat her by a requisite margin to overtake her. And Sasia Slack had the misfortune to get a no height in the high jump, but she's persevered, still there, still out there competing. As we come to this last event, Georgia Ellenwood of Canada. Just a week after being fourth in the NCAAs. Morgan Lake, the youngster, still a junior. Akiba Al-Sidi from St. Lucia. It's next runner to come out, introduced for this final event. Al-Sidi with the best of 2:12. She's one of the best 800 meter runners in the lineup. But just to recap, Mokonyuk almost certain of the gold. So there is the standing. There are the standings in the women's pentathlon. Mokonyuk, Fyodorova, Tyson-Eaton well clear, because they've got 100 points then over Żywotsky Farkas and Kendall Williams. There is Mokonyuk, now the clear favourite. If she can run 2:15.52, Tyson-Eaton would need to do a 2:04. And I don't think that's within her compass. Mokonyuk may not run as quick as that, of course. So it all depends what she can do, because it's not where they finish in this race. That is almost immaterial. It's the time that they do, which we scored on the international tables, that matters. So we could well see a very different finishing order from that for the overall competition. Nwaba would be the favourite to win this race with a 2:07.17. Well, we could still have, Catherine's just pointing out to me, a world indoor junior record for this event. 2:17.2 is what Morgan Lake needs. No, 2:17.81 in fact, since she's looked at the tables. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. There's a lot of things to keep an eye on. The two Ukrainians, very well placed. They're in those blue and yellow strips. Meanwhile, it is, as expected, Nwaba of the US who's gone out ahead. Tyson-Eaton, of course, in second place. She's got to run just as quick as she can. She's got to run without really taking an eye off those Ukrainians, if that's possible when you're a lead. 30:22, it's a quick time for Nwaba, and the two Ukrainians further back. Tyson-Eaton has got to beat Fyodorova by 2.5 seconds to move up into silver, but she'd have to beat Mokonyuk by 11 seconds. So we'll be fascinated to see what the final times are. Nwaba it is who leads them round from Tyson-Eaton. Then there's a big gap And we're also looking out for Morgan Lake with the possibility of that junior record. And she, at the moment, Lake is in 6th place. Nuaba goes through in 63.35. Tyson Eaton's giving it a real go. In 3rd place now, we've got Makibi Al-Sidi from St. Lucia. Well, these two really going away, and the time gap will be absolutely crucial. The Ukrainians will know what they've got to do. They're way down the field, but they're both still very much in medal contention. 100 points from them back to Zhivotsky Farkas. But this is Nuaba, a fine run from the American, 136.47. Some of the crowd might think she's on the way to gold. No, she isn't. Tyson Eaton is running really well. And the Ukrainians fairly well back at the moment. Fyodorova is the back number of them. Mokonyuk is further ahead. So let's just keep a check. Remember, Tyson Eaton would have to gain 11 seconds on Mokonyuk, and she's run a wonderful run here. She's really given it her all. And Tyson Eaton comes through, and with Nuaba around 2:10. So let's just see as the clock ticks away. Tyson Eaton has certainly overtaken Fyodorova, but where's Mokonyuk? Mokonyuk finishing, well, it's around 2:20, and Mokonyuk's further back. Wow, I think it is over 11 seconds.
That's why the crowd were getting excited. We're waiting for the official confirmation, of course, but Mokonyuk's legs just turned to lead on that last circuit of 200 meters. A great finish from Tyson Eaton.
Oh, it was a wonderful performance.
And she has Nuaba to help thank for that as a pacemaker. Ashton Eaton, husband, can barely look on.
Well,
it was a huge margin that she needed to claw back. We're still waiting.
11 seconds, but of course it was close on that. Unless they've got watches on both of them, they can't know for sure just yet. Fascinating to see how they come through.
Very close here. I think she might have just done it.
Tyson Eaton has run 2:09.99, 4.881 points. That's a terrific score. World lead, of course, and a huge personal best by over 100 points. Nuaba has finished on 4.661. Very fine run by the American. 4.656 by Zhivotsky, so she's been overtaken by Nuaba. Al-Seed, 4.368. Then there was Slack, who of course is way down the field. Kacheva gets 4.403. Those are the 6 times that we've had through so far. We're waiting for more. We've got Kacheva and Ellenwood just come through. Decent scores, 4.403. She thinks she's got it. We're still waiting for the Ukrainian scores to come through, though, officially.
The roar that will go up in this stadium if she's done it will be deafening.
Well, remember, she went to the University of Oregon. Morgan Lake just outside her target, 2:20.4 for her, so she ends on 4.499. Fyodorova ends on 4.770, so she's been smashed by Tyson Eaton with that final one. And the crucial one is going to come through with Mokonyuk. Kendall Williams has finished with 4.586.
Oh, the agony, the agony. Mokonyuk's legs just went from under her on the last lap, and as she slowed, Tyson Eaton grew in belief. And listen to that. Ashton can hardly watch.
It hasn't come through, but Kendall Williams, 2:22.82. That's too slow. Mokonyuk, 2:23.19, 4.847 points, and she has been overtaken. 4.847. I've rarely seen someone coming from so far back to come through and win, and she did in such style. And there are Ashton and Brianne, the unique husband and wife gold medalists at a World Indoor Championships. And she smashed her personal best, and such a brave run. Thank goodness we had Nuaba, I'm sure she'll say, to help her around there.
Nuaba being there as the pacemaker made all the difference. But what heart and what determination, and what a way to seal the World Indoor title.
Thank you very much, you can say to Barbara Nuaba. That is who she's hugging. And, well, the Ukrainians really did well. They've done personal bests. But as you say, Mokonyuk's legs, and I've rarely seen someone lose so much ground. 11 seconds, it didn't seem possible, but anything is possible. And Tyson Eaton didn't know, of course, at that stage how far back the Ukrainians were. She can only just hasn't even looked round yet. She knows she's run well, just inside 2:10. And Mokanyuk, silver medal.
She looks shell-shocked, Mokanyuk. She has just very gracefully given Tyson Eaton a hug and a kiss and wished her well and congratulated her. But unbelievable turnaround on that last event. Well, we're gearing up to another sensational climax tonight. As far as the organisers are concerned, they couldn't have wished for this event to have finished any better.
There is the result of the women's pentathlon. The gold medal going to Brianne Tyson-Eaton of Canada, 4.881 points, a world lead, a personal best. The silver medal going to Anastasia Mokanyuk, and the bronze medal to Fyodorova.